Kenny in Oklahoma, you're on with Lloyd and Matt. How are you?
Oh, fine. I want to make sure you could hear me. I had my phone on mute, and I'm not sure this new phone's
loud and clear.
We hear you just fine.
Pretty clear? Good. I just had a phone call. Hang on my other phone. Now it's all gone. Okay,
Isn't it annoying when phone calls happen at inopportune times?
Yeah, phone calls during a phone call. It's pretty... Well, anyway, I called in last Sunday and really enjoyed it. A young lady was there, and she was very polite, very kind. I'm sure she has a lot of friends on both sides of the fence, whether they're theistic or atheist. And I asked her a question about why is it true that I've got to give a explanation for something that, let's see, Carl Sagan's, I believe the quote came up on the program that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I'm just wondering if the vast majority of the people in the world, if it's ordinary for people to be spiritual, religious, and believe in the supernatural.
You're confusing the claims, though.
Whether or not it should be even considered extraordinary in the first place.
No. You're confusing what the claim is, Kenny. It's not extraordinary that people believe weird shit. That's not extraordinary. It's not extraordinary that people believe in a God. We know. You don't even have to prove it. You don't have to provide any evidence. I'm aware that people believe in a God. I used to. Lloyd used to. I meet people all the time and talk to them. It's not the belief in the God that is the extraordinary claim. It is that there is a God is extraordinary.
Well, I think that, I got to stop looking at the television set with the delay and everything. What I was talking about, I was using the word in a straightforward, commonplace way, and it's even been acknowledged by child psychologists and cultural anthropologists and people that, religion is extremely commonplace, always has been. It's not just an ancient phenomenon to think that way. And extraordinary does mean common, above commonplace.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Why are you talking about all these people who say religion is common? That's not an extraordinary... No, we agree. He came out of a religion. I came out of a religion. Religion is extraordinarily common. I just got done explaining to you that it's not the fact that people believe in a God. It's not the fact that people are religious. It's not the fact that people have hair. None of those things are extraordinary.
The fact that there's one of me and 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses doesn't make the 8.5 million Jehovah's Witnesses correct about the state of the universe.
The claim that there is a God, the claim that there is a God is the one that is the extraordinary. No, it's not ordinary.
Not true, but ordinary. There's a difference between the two words.
Are you going to let me talk, or am I going to hang up on you? Okay. It's not extraordinary for people to claim there's a God, but it's extraordinary for there to be a God. That is the claim that is extraordinary. The claim that there's something supernatural. That's what needs to be demonstrated. It's fundamentally different to say I've got a $20 bill in my wallet than it is to say I have $5 billion in a bank account. Even though we know that those are possible, one of them is more extraordinary than the other. When we have something where we have zero examples, zero confirmed examples supported by arguments and evidence of something occurring, like I have an invisible pet dragon in my garage, to go with Sagan, that is an extraordinary claim. And theists are arguing that they have a friend or an associate or something that they point to that exists outside of space and time, whatever that means, and has immense powers, and yet they can demonstrate none of this. That is an incredibly extraordinary claim.
I can understand why somebody who subscribes to some form of naturalism, like philosophical, metaphysical, or methodological, would look at this as a strange or extraordinary claim. But I'm not necessarily applying methodological naturalism to everything.
We both know that. That is not a surprise.
You never had to utter that.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
but also, I'd point out that it's not us exercising methodological naturalism has nothing to do with how extraordinary the God claim is. Because what you're trying to do there is suggest that because we have this devotion to naturalism, have ruled out a God. And that is utterly dishonest, because I'm not a naturalist in the sense that some people would describe, and I didn't rule out a God because I believe in naturalism. I do not accept that there is a God because there is insufficient evidence for it. So setting aside whether or not you're a naturalist or anything else, is there evidence for a God, and is it sufficient to justify the specifics of the claim?
Great. Well, that's exactly what I thought I would hear. And what evidence are you asking for if you're not asking for naturalistic evidence?
I don't know. You'd have to, first of all, describe the God, give its characteristics, and tell us what evidence there is.
But this is the thing with you have theism, you're a theist. You also have deism. So a deist will say, well, the universe has an intelligent beginning. It's just not interested in what's happening on our planet. Theists, including you, say not only does the universe have an intelligent beginning, I can tell you that entity's characteristics, its personality, what things it likes, what things it doesn't like, what books it's inspired, what religions it's inspired. There's a whole bunch of claims attached there, and you have selected this particular God and dismissed a whole bunch of other gods on entirely subjective grounds, which I would hazard a guess are probably influenced by the culture that you were raised in more than anything.
Well, I want to congratulate you, Lloyd, on pinning the tail on the donkey falsely here by labeling me as being subjective when I haven't given you any indication I am subjective about it.
Sorry, it says T on the call, so T stands for theist. So you're telling me you're not a theist?
Theist isn't subjective. That's an assumption on your part.
What objective evidence can you provide for the God?
Okay. Well, I think it's a really good idea when you're looking at evidence of whether or not God exists, or whether or not you can actually talk to someone's mindset in a way that they would get it and understand it. First of all, you have to have good communication, and so we're going to have to be natural a little bit here. Because you wouldn't characterize yourself necessarily.
Can you skip the preamble? I've got 6 lines of people and a whole bunch of people who are eating Chinese food. All I asked for was evidence.
Okay. Well, pointing to the God of the Old Testament, I believe
that's a good one to
pick. One God, source of all, one God, Father of all, exists because in 17 instances of Scripture, you've got Hebrew verb describing that God stretches out the heavens with a beginning time and that it continues like a curtain, like the space is like an elastic solid or something. You've even got in medieval times, you've got inflation even in the Kabbalah. It's clearly spelled out there. God contracted his spirit. The seed of the universe was born. He relaxed the contraction. The universe expanded. It says that literally in the Kabbalah, so you don't have to be a scientist to believe in inflation.
It also says that plants were around before there was light. Or sorry, before there was the sun.
Whether or not those parts are talking about stages of creation or not, and I'm not arguing that.
So here's the thing.
On the 17 verses of Scripture spread all over the...
Why should we care about 17 verses of Scripture that people interpret in a specific way after they find out what reality is?
Well, I cannot argue that inference is as clear as Scripture always. Human inference can have error. But in the case that you want to identify a specific God, you're going to have to make him compatible to that religion and its documents.
I find it curious that you say specific God and then follow that up with you're going to have to make him. Because
I'm going to have. When I say you're, I'm speaking collectively.
Nobody. No, you're missing the point, Kenny. Nobody has to make God anything. Nobody has to make God anything. You believe in a God, and we asked for what objective evidence do you have, and you go to Scripture and interpretations of Scripture, which is not objective.
From your favorite religion.
Okay, in science, astrophysics, the consensus is that dark energy is a thing that is causing the inflation of the universe. It's constantly being used, yet it's not we're not constantly running out of it. Also, we can't identify what it is. We can't see it.
Right. I agree. I completely agree. We can't. Hang on, Kenny. Hang on, Kenny. Hang the fuck on. I agree. We don't know what it is. We don't know much about it. You're talking about speculative, physics that isn't resolved, you don't get to stick your God in and claim that your God's responsible for that. You don't get to say there's something science doesn't understand, and therefore my God is responsible for it. That's not objective evidence for it. That's you filling a gap with God.
Even though the energy itself has the same characteristics as God?
What characteristics is God? We don't even know what the characteristics of the energy are. This is, I tell you what.
That's the point.
Bye.
Well,
that's the point.
I love it when
we don't know.
I love it when they cite science.
Yeah.
Here's all this scientific.
As if I gathered the 10 world's best experts in dark matter, how many of them are going to think that dark matter proves God?
Yeah.